And back
You're
with
welcome.
us now, Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne from House Ways and Means, and along with Americans for Tax Reform President Grover Norquist. Great to have you both on. Thank you so much. Congresswoman, you're on Ways and Means. What are you hearing about the whistleblowers' testimony?
Well, the fact is that any kind of testimony that we have that shows that the federal government, especially those within the DOJ or the IRS, are being used to weaponize and basically being politicized against, political targets is a disgrace. And we have said from day one from Ways and Means Committee that we are interested in getting any testimony that people have. We actually opened up a portal. So if you are a federal government employee and you know of waste, fraud, or abuse that is being committed, we encourage you to contact us. waysandmeans.house.gov.
Yeah, but this isn't about waste. This isn't about waste, fraud, and abuse. This is about.
This is about abuse.
This is about meddling.
This is about abuse.
This is about stonewalling in a criminal investigation. Yeah. So you're hearing more details about what the whistleblower is saying?
We've got more than one. Yeah, we've got more than one. There are multiple whistleblowers who have contacted us. We are investigating each and every one of them. As you know, I can confirm that we did have one of those whistleblowers in committee today that we're meeting with specific members of the committee and their attorneys. And I can tell you that we're investigating it, but we're also not an Adam Schiff kind of committee where we're just throwing out baseless allegations. We are investigating it, and as soon as we've got information, we'll let the public know.
Grover, here's the thing. I mean, Hunter Biden's case has been out there for 5 years. There was leaks to the media last fall that a ruling was going to come out on his alleged criminal tax evasion and money laundering. He's been doing overseas deals that are really pretty nefarious, and if they were so straightforward and above board, they were buried, though, in off-balance sheet shell companies where grandchildren were getting payments from foreign sources. So, and then the DOJ officials demanded the IRS disband a task force probing Hunter Biden. So have you ever seen, in your history of watching and being a watchdog on Washington, have you ever seen anything like this?
Unfortunately, with the IRS, we've seen this again and again. During the Clinton administration, it got so bad that there were hearings and a commission was put together to focus on targeted IRS audits against people that the Clinton administration didn't like. During Obama, you saw the closing down of the Tea Party movement by using IRS refusing people to be able to incorporate as a nonprofit. So the IRS has again and again been used politically, and it appears to be happening now, just in the other direction, to not prosecute somebody who may be guilty, as opposed to attack people who had done nothing. This at a time where the Biden administration and the entire Democratic Party says, these people with no reforms, let's give them $80 billion. It seems to me that with this track record, they ought to be reformed first before you ever think about increasing their money.
It's really tough to reform because having covered the IRS for years at both the Wall Street Journal and Forbes and testifying before Congress about IRS abuses, IRS officials, Congresswomen, know that they get their paycheck from Senate Finance. So they know they hear dog whistles coming out of the White House and they follow it. That's what I repeatedly heard from IRS agents when we talked to them, and I talked to them. So when you have that, there's an expectation more whistleblowers, IRS whistleblowers, are going to come forward. And then you have the FBI whistleblowers saying there is a document that exists that, details alleged bribery involving then Vice President Biden. I mean, now we got House Oversight Chair James Comer. He's just days away of slapping a contempt of Congress charge against FBI Director Wray for not turning it over.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. And I could not agree more with Mr. Norquist. I mean, we are seeing the weaponization. I mean, look what they did, to a poor journalist who had, the guts to write a story about the truth. They're trying to shut him down. Taibbi, they're going to his house and they're conducting investigations, even though they knew he didn't owe anything to the IRS. And my colleagues are trying to get 87,000 new IRS agents hired. It is a disgrace. When we had the IRS commissioner in front of our committee just a few weeks ago, I asked him about this question, about the history, going all the way back when he was with the Obama administration and what they were doing with political conservative groups. He basically denied it. We asked him, is this going to happen again? What are you putting in place? He had no answers. All he kept saying was, we can't discuss it.
Right.
We can't discuss it.
What the Congresswoman just said, we do not work for them. They work for us, Grover. Repeatedly, we see this behavior coming out of what's going on in D.C. You know, a lot of Trump voters feel former President Trump was railroaded, right? And now Special Counsel John Durham's set to testify in coming weeks. And, you know, Grover, the other thing, too, is James Comer just revealed in the timeline about what happened with this FBI document, the 1023, that allegedly shows Vice President Biden engaged in bribery. He said two things, $5 million, and he said June or summer of 2020. That falls right in the timeline. Let me just back up. When Ukrainian officials in Ukraine in 2020 said they were offered $5 million in bribes to end a probe into the founder of the energy company Burisma, the Ukrainian officials said there was no connection to that former, Burisma board member, Hunter Biden, and Joe Biden. They repeatedly said that. But this was the largest cash bribe ever seized in Ukraine. So we need to know, the American people deserve to know before 2024 what this is about, Grover.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why this administration and the IRS has gone after the press. Matt Taibbi, the reporter who was going through how the FBI was getting Twitter to censor people before Elon Musk. And on Christmas Eve, was when they opened the investigation against this reporter. On a Saturday night, Christmas Eve, when nobody else was there. What in the world was that about? And then they wanted to know whether he had a gun permit. A 4-year-old argument they said might be something, except they said they'd sent him letters. They couldn't produce them.
So, yeah, the voters see this, Grover. The polls show the voters don't like it, Congressman, what's going on. The voters don't like it at all. Yeah. 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, Monmouth. You see it in Quinnipiac, Pew. They don't like the direction where America's going. They want it over. They want it done. So, Congresswoman, we'll have you back on. Grover Norquist. Both of you, happy Memorial Day weekend. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's good to see you.
You too.